Buck Leonard. Yeah. So, I mentioned I got Lou Gehrig as my number one. Buck Leonard was a teammate of Josh Gibson on the Homestead Grays, actually batted fourth, cleanup behind Josh Gibson three. So, if I got to spell out the Ruth Gehrig analogies, I don't have to because Leonard was actually referred to as the Black Lou Gehrig, just like Gibson was called the Black Babe Ruth. And Hall of Famer Monty Irvin said that if Leonard had been allowed to play in the big leagues, they'd be calling Gehrig the White Buck Leonard. So it's kind of the same thing as Josh Gibson. Numerous MLB players attested to his skill. Roy Campanella had great things to say about him. So again, I wanted to include people from different eras, and not to get off on it, but the more I research about the Negro Leagues, I had a guy named Ted Noor on the podcast recently. The episode hasn't come out, but we talked about Rap Dixon. The more I get into the Negro Leagues, it's like, there's some great players and they're underrepresented in the Hall of Fame. I think they're underrepresented in a lot of these top 10, conversations. So I had to have someone on there. And it's not just, hey, trying to pick him. It's like, no, that guy was good. Career 346 hitter, two-time batting champ. I mean, the seasons were smaller and shorter, so the batting averages were a little bit higher, but still, led the Negro Leagues in 1938 with a 420 batting average, led the league in triples. Has led, if you look at some of his stats in various times in his career, led the Negro Leagues in runs, doubles, home runs, triples, RBI, batting average, on base, slugging, OPS, etc. So, guy could hit for power, he could hit for average, he had speed, and who knows? Sky's the limit with what he could have done had he been able to play in the big leagues. But so I had to include him, especially because the connection. I love the connection with him and Josh, just like Lou and Babe. It's like I got a little bit of there's always an emotional soft spot for anything related to Ruth or Gehrig. And same thing with Josh Gibson, just a little bit of the notoriety. So Buck and Josh are like the Ruth and Gehrig of the Negro League. So anyway, got to mention Buck Leonard.
Yeah. So one more time, your list is Gehrig, Pujols, Freeman, Fox, Hernandez, Keith Hernandez, Carew, Murray, Leonard, Beckley, Garvey. Anybody else you want to mention before we move on to Brian's list?